The morning fog hung thick over the rocky beach as Olivia Campbell made her way down the narrow path. The small coastal town of Pine Harbor slept behind her, unaware of what the tide had brought in overnight. Olivia came here most mornings to collect samples for her research, but today would change everything. The first unusual sign was the trail of blue-green liquid that caught the early sunlight. Olivia followed it, her boots crunching on the wet pebbles. The trail led behind a large rock formation where no one from the main beach could see. There, sprawled across the sand and stone, lay something impossible. It was not a sea creature. At least not one from Earth. The being had 6 limbs with clawed appendages, and its body was covered in scales that shifted color slightly as it breathed. Its head was long with 3 eyes on each side. All of them were closed now. A deep gash ran along its side, leaking the strange blue-green fluid. "What are you?" Olivia whispered, keeping her distance. At the sound of her voice, the creature's eyes snapped open. They glowed with an inner light, yellow and alert despite its injuries. It tried to rise but collapsed back with a hiss that showed rows of sharp teeth. Most people would have run away. Some would have called the authorities. Olivia did neither. For 5 years, she had studied unusual marine biology patterns that suggested non-Earth life forms might exist in our oceans. Her colleagues had laughed at her papers. The university had cut her funding last month. Now proof lay before her. Injured and alone, Olivia slowly removed her jacket and approached with her hands visible. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said, softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone might help. The predator watched her with those glowing eyes, tracking every movement. When she got too close, it made a rattling sound deep in its throat. Olivia stopped. "You're hurt. I can help," she said. She looked at the wound again. Without treatment, the creature would die here on this beach. If anyone else found it, it would end up in a government lab. Olivia made her decision quickly. Her cabin was half a mile up the coast, isolated from the town and equipped with a small lab where she continued her research despite losing university support. If she could get the creature there, she might save its life. The challenge was how to move a clearly dangerous alien predator that weighed at least 200 pounds. Olivia had a small cart in her utility shed that she used to move equipment. It would have to do. "I'll be back," she told the creature, then hurried to her cabin. 20 minutes later, she returned with the cart, a tarp, and her medical kit. Creature hadn't moved, but its breathing seemed weaker. Olivia worked quickly. She prepared a mild sedative designed for large marine mammals and approached carefully. "This will help with the pain," she said as she inched closer. The predator's eyes tracked her, but it seemed too weak to attack. With a swift motion, Olivia injected the sedative near the wound. The effect wasn't immediate, but after a few minutes, the creature's eyes dulled slightly. Olivia unfolded the tarp beside it and began the difficult task of rolling the predator onto it. The scales were surprisingly warm to the touch, and she could feel powerful muscles beneath them. Once on the tarp, Olivia used it to drag the creature onto the cart. Sweat poured down her face from the effort. The cart groaned under the weight, but its wheels held. She secured the predator with straps and began the difficult journey back to her cabin. Halfway there, she heard a distant helicopter. Looking up, she saw it was military. News of something entering Earth's atmosphere had been on the morning radio reports of a meteor, or possibly satellite debris. Olivia now suspected it was this creature's ship or transport. She quickened her pace. Her cabin sat on a cliff overlooking the ocean, with a research lab built as an extension at the back. Olivia wheeled the cart directly into the lab and transferred the sedated predator into her largest specimen tank. The glass enclosure was reinforced and originally designed to hold aggressive shark species. It would have to be enough. As she cleaned the wound, Olivia noted the alien's unusual anatomy. Its blood contained copper instead of iron, explaining the blue-green color. The predator had a dual respiratory system gills behind its jaw and something similar to lungs. The wound appeared to have been caused by intense heat, perhaps from entry into Earth's atmosphere or a crash landing. Olivia applied a synthetic skin seal used for marine mammals over the gash. She set up in 4 with basic saline solution, hoping it wouldn't harm the creature. Throughout the procedure, those eyes occasionally flickered open, watching her with an intelligence that sent shivers down her spine. By evening, the sedative wore off. Olivia sat at her desk, recording observations when she heard a tapping sound. The predator was awake, one clawed limb lightly scratching against the glass. All 6 eyes were open now, studying her with unnerving focus. "Hello there," Olivia said, approaching the tank cautiously. "How are you feeling?" The creature tilted its head slightly. Its scales shifted from a dull gray to a pattern of blues and greens. It made a series of clicking sounds followed by a low rumble. "Are you trying to communicate?" Olivia asked, fascinated. She moved closer to the tank. The predator watched her approach, but made no aggressive moves. Instead, it placed a 6-fingered hand against the glass. The gesture seemed almost deliberate. Olivia's phone rang, breaking the moment. It was Joe. "The local sheriff, Olivia? You hear about the thing that fell from the sky last night? Military's all over it. They're saying it broke apart over the ocean, but Fisher swears he saw something come down near your stretch of beach." "I haven't seen anything unusual, Olivia." Lead, turning her back to the tank. "Just collecting samples as usual." "Well, keep an eye out. They've got people combing the coastline. Some big government types, too, not just local military." After hanging up, Olivia returned to the tank. The predator had moved to the far corner, its posture somehow conveying wariness. "They're looking for you," Olivia told it, "but they won't find you here." As darkness fell, Olivia prepared for a long night. She made up a cot in the lab, unwilling to leave the injured predator alone. Before sleeping, she tried offering various foods, fish, meat, even plant matter, but the creature showed no interest. "We'll figure it out," she promised as she dimmed the lights. "Tomorrow we'll try something else." In the faint blue glow from the tank's monitoring system, Olivia watched the alien predator settle into what appeared to be sleep. Its breathing had stabilized, and the wound already showed signs of remarkable healing. As she drifted off to sleep, Olivia wondered what she had gotten herself into. Harboring an alien life form was probably illegal in ways she couldn't even imagine. But looking at the predator, she felt something unexpected, a connection across the stars between 2 very different forms of life. Outside, distant lights moved along the coastline as the search continued. Inside, an unusual friendship had begun. Olivia woke to the sound of scratching. The alien predator was awake and moving around in its tank, its claws making light marks on the glass. Morning light filtered through the lab's windows, casting long shadows across the floor. A week had passed since she had found the creature on the beach. The first few days had been the hardest. The predator wouldn't eat anything Olivia offered. Not fish, not meat, not even the special nutrient solutions she had developed for her research. Its body was using energy to heal the wound, but without food, it grew weaker each day. Its scales lost their shine and turned a dull gray. "You have to eat something," Olivia said, standing before the tank with a tray of different foods. "I don't know what your kind eats, but you need something." The alien watched her with all 6 of its yellow eyes. It made a series of clicking sounds followed by a low rumble. Olivia had started to recognize these sounds as the creature's way of communicating. The clicks seemed like questions, the rumbles like statements. Olivia had taken blood samples, while the predator was sedated. Under her microscope, she saw that its cells were unlike anything on Earth. They used copper instead of iron to carry oxygen, explaining the blue-green blood. The cells broke down and rebuilt themselves at an amazing rate. If she could just find the right nutrients, the creature might heal even faster. On the 8th day, Olivia had a breakthrough. She mixed a solution of minerals, proteins, and copper. Compounds. The liquid glowed slightly blue in the beaker. When she placed it in the tank in a shallow dish, the predator approached cautiously. It sniffed the liquid, then lapped it up with a quick motion. Immediately, its scales shifted color, brightening to a deep blue with flecks of green. "You like that," Olivia said, smiling. "Let me make more." She prepared a larger batch, and the predator consumed it all. Within hours, its wound looked better. The synthetic skin seal she had applied was pushed out as new scales grew beneath it. By evening, the predator moved with more energy, exploring the limits of its tank. That night, while Olivia worked at her desk, she heard a cracking sound. She turned to see the predator pushing against the top of the tank. The reinforced lid bent slightly under its strength. "Hey, stop that," she called out. The predator paused and looked at her. Then, with a sudden burst of power, it pushed the lid up and climbed out of the tank. Olivia jumped to her feet, knocking over her chair. The creature stood on 6 powerful limbs, now free in her lab. It was much larger outside the tank, reaching her chest in height. Its claws clicked against the floor as it moved. Olivia backed. Up slowly. The door was behind her, but she knew she couldn't outrun this predator. Its muscles rippled under shimmering scales. The wound on its side was nearly healed, just a line of lighter-colored scales marking where it had been. Instead of attacking, the creature tilted its head and made a soft clicking sound. It moved to the side, keeping distance between them. Olivia realized it was giving her space. It wasn't acting like a predator stalking prey. Slowly, Olivia moved to her work table, where the nutrient solution sat in a large beaker. She poured some into a bowl and placed it on the floor, then stepped back. The alien approached the bowl cautiously, never taking its eyes off her. It consumed the liquid, then made a rumbling sound that vibrated the air. "You're welcome," Olivia said, not sure if the sound was a thank you or just satisfaction. That night, Olivia slept on her lab couch, too nervous to leave the predator alone in the lab. She expected to stay awake all night, but exhaustion took over. When she woke in the early morning, she found the alien curled at the foot of the couch. Its body temperature seemed to match the room, and its breathing was slow and steady in sleep. "You could have killed me," Olivia whispered. "Why didn't you?" As if hearing her question, the predator's eyes opened. It stretched its 6 limbs and stood up. In the daylight, Olivia saw new details in its face, small sensory pits below the eyes, a ridge of specialized scales along its head. It was beautiful in a strange alien way. Over the next few days, they developed a routine. The predator stayed out of the tank, moving freely around the lab. Olivia made nutrient solution twice a day, which the creature eagerly consumed. She named it Echo because of how it sometimes repeated the sounds she made, like it was learning her language. Echo learned quickly. It figured out how to open cabinet doors and drawers. It watched Olivia work, sometimes sitting beside her desk for hours. At night, it slept near her, always keeping its body between her and the door, as if protecting her. One morning, Olivia heard vehicles on the road that led to her isolated cabin. She looked out the window and saw 2 black SUVs with government plates making their way up the dirt path. "We have company," she told Echo. The predator's scales immediately changed color, shifting to match the walls and floor, a perfect camouflage. Olivia hadn't known it could do that. She quickly closed the lab door and went to meet the visitors outside. Two men in suits stood at her front door. Behind them, she could see military personnel in the vehicles. Miss Campbell? I'm Officer Kyle. Bennett with Homeland Security, the taller man said, showing a badge. We're conducting an investigation into an atmospheric entry event from last week. Mind if we ask you a few questions? Not at all, Olivia said, trying to keep her voice steady. Have you noticed anything unusual along the beach lately? Any debris? Or unusual objects? No, just the usual driftwood and seaweed, Olivia lied. Is there something specific you're looking for? Can't say exactly, Officer Bennett replied. But if you see anything strange, anything at all, please call this number immediately. He handed her a card. For your own safety. Of course, Olivia said. The men looked past her, toward the cabin. Nice place you've got. Bit isolated, though? You live here alone? Yes, just me and my research, Olivia said. I'm a marine biologist. Officer Bennett nodded. Mind if we take a look around the property? Standard procedure. Olivia's heart raced. Echo was inside, and while its camouflage was impressive, a thorough search would reveal it. Actually, I'm in the middle of a time-sensitive experiment, she sighed. The timing has to be precise. Could you come back tomorrow? The officers exchanged glances. Sure, Bennett said after a moment. We'll return tomorrow morning. Please don't disturb anything you might find on the beach in the meantime. As the vehicles drove away, Olivia rushed back inside. Echo had moved. To the window, its scales still matching the wall colors. They'll be back tomorrow, she told the predator. We need a better hiding place for you. Echo made a series of clicks that sounded almost like agreement. Its eyes locked with hers, and in that moment, Olivia knew their bond had deepened. This wasn't just a creature she had saved. This was a being from another world that had chosen to trust her, and she would do whatever it took to protect it. Olivia stood in her kitchen, watching the sun rise over the ocean. 3 weeks had passed since she found Echo on the beach. Outside, the morning fog covered the dirt road leading to her cabin, buying them a few extra hours before Officer Bennett and his team returned. We need a plan, she said to Echo, who sat nearby, its scales shifting to match the warm colors of the morning light. After the officers left yesterday, Olivia had moved essential equipment from her lab to the small cellar beneath the cabin. The entrance was hidden under a rug in her bedroom. It wasn't ideal, but it was the best hiding place they had. Echo made a series of clicks and moved to the window. It placed one clawed hand against the glass and made a sweeping motion toward the forest behind the cabin. You want to leave? Olivia asked. Go into the woods? Echo's eyes blinked in sequence, which Olivia had come to recognize as a yes. It might be safer, she admitted. But I need to stay here. If I suddenly disappear, they'll be even more suspicious. Echo clicked rapidly and then produced a low humming sound. Its scales formed patterns of light and dark that moved like waves. Olivia had noticed this happened when Echo was trying to communicate something complex. Over the past weeks, they had developed a simple way of communicating. Echo understood basic English words and could respond with clicks, rumbles, and scale patterns. It was intelligent far more so than any Earth animal. It watched Olivia work, learned how her equipment functioned, and even helped in small ways. By bringing her tools or holding items steady with its multiple limbs. I have an idea, Olivia said suddenly. We can hide you in plain sight. She went to her closet and pulled out an old pet carrier she had used when transporting small marine specimens. It was large enough for Echo if it curled up tightly. When they come, you get in here, she explained, showing the carrier to Echo. I'll tell them it's a rare deep-sea creature I'm studying. They won't ask to open it if I say you're sensitive. To light, Echo approached the carrier cautiously, sniffing it. After a moment, it crawled inside curling its 6 limbs tightly to fit. Its scales changed color to a deep blue, making it look like some kind of exotic fish or cephalopod in the gume. Shadows of the carrier. Perfect, Olivia said. But hopefully we won't need to use this plan. They spent the morning preparing. Olivia cleaned her lab, removing any sign of Echo's presence. She set up a fake experiment with sea water samples as cover for why she had been too busy to let the officers search yesterday. At noon, Olivia heard vehicles on the road. Echo immediately went to the cellar, disappearing through the hidden door. Olivia took a deep breath and went to meet the officers. Officer Bennett stood at her door again, this time with 3 other men in tactical gear. Ms. Campbell, we're here to continue our investigation, he said. We need to search your property now. Of course, Olivia said, opening the door wider. I've finished the time-sensitive part of my experiment. The men entered and began a thorough search. They checked every room, looked through cabinets, and examined her lab equipment. Olivia followed them, explaining her research when they asked questions. What's down there? One of the men asked, pointing to a small door that led to the storage. Room next to the kitchen. Just supplies, Olivia said. Food, extra equipment, that sort of thing. The man opened the door and looked inside. The room was dark and cramped, filled with shelves of canned food and boxes. In the corner sat the pet carrier. What's that? Officer Bennett asked, pointing at the carrier. Olivia's heart raced. Echo. Wasn't supposed to be there. It should have been in the cellar. Oh, that's one of my specimens, she said quickly. A deep-sea mollusk I'm studying, very sensitive to light and air. Officer Bennett approached the carrier. Mind if I take a look? It really needs to stay in low light, Olivia said. Opening the carrier could kill it. It took months to adjust it to surface conditions. Bennett hesitated, then nodded. What kind of research are you doing exactly? Olivia launched into a detailed explanation of marine biology and her work on deep-sea adaptations. She used complex terms that she knew would bore them. After a few minutes, the officer's eyes glazed over. Well, everything seems in order, Bennett said finally. But we'll be monitoring this area for a while. If you see anything unusual, remember to call that number I gave you. After they left, Olivia rushed to the storage room. She opened the Yahoo carrier, expecting to find Echo, but it was empty. Confused, she looked around the room. Echo? She called softly. A patch of wall seemed to ripple, and suddenly Echo appeared, its scales shifting from the exact color and pattern of the wall, too. Its normal blue-green. It had been there the whole time, perfectly camouflaged. That was amazing, Olivia said. You saved us. Echo made a pleased rumbling sound and followed her back to the main room. That evening, as Olivia prepared dinner, she heard a noise outside. Looking through the window, she saw a man with a rifle walking along the edge of her property. It was Greg Hudson, a local hunter who often tracked deer in these woods. Echo sensed her tension and moved beside her. Its scales shifted to alert colors, bright patterns of yellow and red. Greg was walking toward the back of the cabin, where he might see into the lab windows. He can't find you here, Olivia whispered. Echo made a decisive clicking sound and moved toward the door. No, wait. Olivia called, but Echo was already slipping outside, its body instantly changing color to blend with the twilight shadows. Olivia watched anxiously through the window. Echo moved silently through the tall grass, circling around behind Greg. Hunter continued walking, unaware of the alien predator stalking him. Echo could easily kill him. Its claws and teeth were designed for hunting. But instead, it positioned itself between Greg and the cabin, then deliberately stepped on a twig. Greg spun around at the sound. Who's there? He called, raising his rifle. Echo let out a low rumble and allowed its eyes to glow briefly in the yellow. gathering darkness 6 points of yellow light that appeared and vanished in an instant. Greg stumbled backward, his face pale with fear. What the hell? He gasped. Echo moved again, making rustling sounds in different locations, its eyes flashing momentarily before disappearing. Greg fired his rifle wildly into the bushes, then turned, and ran back toward town, tripping several times in his panic. When Echo returned to the cabin, Olivia was waiting at the door. You scared him away without hurting him, she said. Amazed, Echo's scales rippled with blue light patterns that Olivia had come to associate with satisfaction. It made a gentle rumbling sound and moved closer to her, carefully placing one clawed hand on her arm. The touch was gentle, almost affectionate. In that moment, Olivia realized their relationship had changed. She had rescued Echo, healed it, and protected it. Now Echo was protecting her. It wasn't her pet in the traditional sense. It was too intelligent, too alien for that. But they had formed a bond that crossed the boundaries of their different worlds. We're in this together now, she told Echo, placing her hand over its clawed one. Echo's eyes blinked in sequence. Yes. Later that night, as they sat in the darkness of the cabin, Echo produced a new kind of light display. Its scales glowed with pinpoints of light that looked like stars. In the center of the pattern, one star glowed brighter than the others. Is that your home? Olivia asked. Echo clicked once. Yes. Are there more like you? Another click. Echoes. Light display expanded, showing more bright points around the central star. Are they coming here? Olivia asked, suddenly understanding. Echo's eyes blinked in sequence, and the lights on its scales pulsed in rhythm. Yes, they were coming. Olivia woke to the sound of helicopter blades cutting through the early morning air. Echo was already at the window, its scales dark with concern. 3 months had passed since she found the alien on the beach, and their peaceful routine was about to end. Military helicopters, Olivia said, looking through her binoculars. And those aren't regular soldiers. The men exiting the helicopters wore specialized equipment. Their vehicles had satellite dishes and strange antennas. This wasn't the local search team anymore. These people knew exactly what they were looking for. Echo made an urgent series of clicks and pulled Olivia away from the window. Its scales formed a pattern that Olivia had never seen before, concentric circles with a bright center, like a target. They can detect you somehow, Olivia realized. Your energy signature or something in your biology. Echo clicked once. Yes. Olivia thought quickly. We need to mask your signature. She rushed to her lab and began mixing chemicals. Echo followed, watching intently as she worked. Your blood uses copper instead of iron, Olivia explained as she worked. It creates a unique energy field that their sensors can detect. If we can temporarily suppress that field, we might be able to escape. Using her knowledge of Echo's biology, Olivia created a compound of minerals and synthetic proteins. The liquid glowed faintly blue in the beaker. This might help, she said, filling a syringe. It should temporarily alter your biochemistry, making you harder to detect. It could make you feel strange, though. Echo extended one limb without hesitation. Olivia injected the compound into a vein visible beneath the scales. Within minutes, Echo's scales dulled, losing their usual shine. The alien swayed slightly, as if dizzy. Are you okay? Olivia asked. Echo clicked once, but the sound was weaker than normal. Through the window, Olivia could see the search team setting up equipment on the road leading to her cabin. A man in a white lab coat studied a handheld device, pointing it in different directions. This had to be Dr. Alan Wright, the government scientist rumored to be hunting for alien life. We need to leave now, Olivia said. They'll be here within an hour. She quickly packed a backpack with supplies, food, water, first aid kit, and more of the compound she had created for Echo. She grabbed her research notes and computer, then hesitated. These contained all her data on Echo. If the government found them, they would know everything. Echo made a decisive sound and used its claws to scratch across the computer and notes, destroying them beyond repair. Good idea, Olivia said. They slipped out the back door and into the forest behind the cabin. Echo moved with less grace than usual, the compound affecting its coordination. But its camouflage still worked, its scales shifting to match the greens and browns of the forest. They hiked deep into Olympic National Park, following animal trails away from the main hiking paths. The forest grew denser, with towering trees, blocking the sky. They would be harder to spot from helicopters here. By midday, they reached a small stream. Olivia filled their water bottles, while Echo drank directly from the water. The cold mountain water seemed to help the alien. Its scales regained some of their shine, and it moved more steadily. We should keep going, Olivia said. Put more distance between us and them. For 2 weeks, they lived in the wilderness. Echo hunted for both of them, bringing Olivia small game that it had killed quickly and humanely. For itself, Echo caught larger prey, a deer once, which it consumed with the efficient precision of an apex predator. Olivia tried not to watch. During these feedings, they moved only at night, resting during the day in caves or dense underbrush. Echo's night vision was superior to Olivia's, so it led the way, clicking softly to guide her through the darkness. During these nights, Echo taught Olivia about its world. Using light patterns projected onto cave walls, it showed her images of a planet with 3 moons and vast oceans. It showed her cities built from materials that seemed to glow from within, and it showed her others of its kind, some larger, some smaller, but all with the same basic form. Olivia learned that Echo's species called themselves the Krog-Jin. They were predators who had evolved beyond their violent origins to build an interstellar civilization. Echo had been sent to Earth as a scout to assess the planet and its inhabitants. Are they coming to invade? Olivia asked one night. Echo's scales flashed with what Olivia now recognized as their version of laughter. It projected an image of Krog-Jin and humans standing together, not in conflict. Peaceful contact, Olivia said, relieved. When? Echo showed her an image of the night. Sky with the moon in a certain position. Olivia calculated it would be about 3 months from now. On their 15th day in the wilderness, their luck ran out. They had stopped to rest near a lake when the sound of helicopters broke the silence. Echo immediately pulled Olivia under the cover of a fallen tree, its body changing color to blend with the rotting wood. The helicopter circled the lake twice, then hovered. Men rappelled down on ropes, landing at the lake's edge. They carried the same sensor equipment Olivia had seen before. Leading them was Dr. Wright, his white coat exchanged for tactical gear. The signature is stronger here, he called to the others. It's nearby. Echo's body tensed. Olivia could feel its muscles preparing for action. She placed a hand on its side, willing it to stay calm. The search team spread out, scanning the area with their devices. One man walked directly toward their hiding place. Echo's claws extended slightly, its predator instincts emerging. No, Olivia whispered. No killing. Echo retracted its claws, but remained tense. The man with the scanner came within 10 feet of their hiding place, then stopped. His device beeped rapidly. Dr. Wright, I've got something. He called. Dr. Wright hurried over, studying the scanner. It's here, but the signature is strange. Muted somehow. He looked around, his gaze passing over their hiding spot without seeing them. Keep searching. It can't have gone far. For hours, they remained motionless as the search team combed the area. Echo's camouflage was perfect, and the compound Olivia had created continued to mask its energy signature, enough to confuse the scanner's dot. As darkness fell, the search team set up lights and continued working. Olivia's muscles cramped from staying still so long. Echo sensed her discomfort and slowly, carefully shifted its position to shield her better. Then Echo froze, its attention focused on the lake. Olivia followed its gaze, but saw nothing unusual. Echo's scales formed a pattern of ripples, like water in motion. It made a soft clicking sound right next to Olivia's ear. The lake? Olivia whispered. Echo clicked once. Yes, there's something. In the lake? Another click. Echo pointed with one claw toward the water, then made a diving motion with its hand. Olivia understood. An escape route? Echo's eyes blinked in sequence. The helicopter had moved to the far side of the lake, and most of the search team was concentrated there. The path to the water was momentarily clear. Now? Olivia asked. Echo clicked and began moving silently toward the lake, keeping low to the ground. Olivia followed as quietly as she could. They reached the water's edge unseen and paused in the shadows of a large boulder. Echo pointed to the center of the lake, then to Olivia, then to itself. The message was clear. Echo would take her into the lake. I can't breathe underwater, Olivia whispered. Echo placed a clawed hand gently on her face, covering her nose and mouth, then pointed to its own gills. Somehow, it would help her breathe. Olivia hesitated for only a moment. She trusted Echo completely now. She nodded. Echo wrapped 4 of its 6 limbs around her securely, then slipped into the water with barely a ripple. Together, they swam away. From the shore, diving deeper as searchlights swept over the lake's surface. Olivia held her breath as long as she could, then felt Echo's hand cover her face again. A warm sensation spread through her nose and mouth, and suddenly she could breathe. Echo was sharing its oxygen with her through some alien mechanism in its scales. They dove deeper into the dark water, leaving the lights and voices of the search team behind. The underwater cave opened into a vast chamber that glowed with soft blue light. Olivia gasped as Echo released her from its protective grip. They had been swimming through dark tunnels for what felt like hours after escaping Dr. Wright and his team at the lake. Now they stood in a space that could not possibly exist naturally beneath the mountains. Smooth walls rose around them, covered in symbols similar to the light patterns Echo produced with its scales. The floor was dry, and the air was breathable. In the center of the chamber stood a pillar of metal, unlike anything Olivia had seen on Earth. What is this place? Olivia asked. Her voice echoing. Echo moved to the central pillar and placed all 6 of its hands on different parts of the surface. The pillar responded immediately, lighting up with the same patterns as Echo's scales. The entire chamber hummed with energy. Echo made a series of clicks and rumbles that sounded almost like pride. Its scales shifted to brilliant blues and golds. As it turned to Olivia, "Your people built this?" she asked. Echo clicked once. Yes. It moved its claws in a pattern that Olivia had learned meant long ago. An outpost, Olivia realized. Your kind has been here before. Echo confirmed this with another click. It pressed a specific pattern on the pillar, and a section of the wall slid open. Inside was a small room filled with technology that looked both ancient and advanced at the same time. Echo led Olivia inside and activated a large crystal disk in the center of the room. The disk projected a 3-dimensional image of Earth, then zoomed out to show the solar system, then further to reveal a star map. Echo pointed to a bright star and made the sound Olivia now recognized as the name of its homeworld. How long ago did your people come to Earth? Olivia asked. Echo showed her an image of Earth with giant ice sheets covering much of the northern continents. The Ice Age, thousands of years ago. And now they're coming back, Olivia said. Echo confirmed this and showed her a new image A large ship approaching Earth. The image zoomed in to show smaller vessels leaving the main ship and landing in different locations around the planet. When? Olivia asked. Echo pointed to the crystal disk, which shifted to show the moon in a specific position. Based on the stars around it, Olivia estimated it was about 2 months away. Why show me this? She asked. Why trust me? Echo's scales formed a complex pattern that Olivia had never seen before. It placed one clawed hand gently on Olivia's shoulder and projected an image of the two of them standing side by side, then more images of humans and Krajin together. You want me to help with first contact, Olivia said, understanding, to prevent misunderstandings. Echo clicked in agreement. It turned back to the control pillar and activated another function. A small device emerged from a hidden compartment. It looked like a wristband made of the same metal as the pillar. Echo picked up the band and offered it to Olivia. When she put it on, it adjusted to fit her wrist perfectly. Immediately, Echo's clicks and rumbles began to translate into words she could understand in her mind. Communication device, came the thought in her head, not quite words but clear. Meaning, I can understand you now, Olivia said, amazed. Yes, the translation came. Need your help. Humans afraid. Government weapons. We come in peace. Dr. Wright and his team would study you, dissect you, Olivia said. They see you as a threat. Not alone, Echo communicated. Others like you. Scientists, leaders who understand. Need to find them. Olivia thought for a moment. I know some. People, researchers who believe in peaceful contact. But they're not in government. How do we reach them? Echo moved to another part of the outpost and revealed what looked like a communication array. Can send message. Far distance, no trace. Olivia understood the plan. Using the ancient Krajin technology, they could bypass government filters and reach scientists directly with proof of Echo's existence and peaceful intentions. For the next week, they worked together in the hidden outpost. Echo taught Olivia how to use the alien technology, while Olivia composed messages to key scientists and peace advocates around the world. She included data about the Krajin biology, culture, and technology that would prove the message's authenticity. When we send this, Olivia said, the government will know something happened. They might be able to track the signal. Temporary problem, Echo communicated. Main ship arrives soon. And hiding ends. On the day they sent the message, Olivia felt both fear and hope. The communication array lit up the entire chamber as it transmitted their call for peaceful preparation for first contact to hundreds of recipients worldwide. Almost immediately, they detected increased activity on the surface. Dr. Wright's team had picked up the signal and was using heavy equipment to map the cave system. They're coming, Olivia said. Echo wasn't concerned. It led Olivia to a new section of the outpost and revealed a small ship, just large enough for 2 occupants. Escape? Olivia asked. No, Echo communicated. Stand ground, show truth. They prepared to meet Dr. Wright's team. Echo could have hidden using its perfect camouflage, but instead, it stood tall in the center of the main chamber, its scales glowing with confident blues and golds. Olivia stood beside it, the communication device on her wrist, allowing her to understand the complex thoughts of her alien friend. When the wall finally broke open and armed men poured in, followed by Dr. Wright, they froze at the sight before them, a human woman standing unafraid beside an alien predator, surrounded by ancient alien technology. Dr. Wright, Olivia called out, please tell your men to lower their weapons. There's something you need to understand. Step away from that creature, Miss Campbell, Dr. Wright ordered. It's dangerous. No, Olivia said firmly. Echo saved my life, and now we're trying to save yours, all of yours. In less than 2 months, A Krajin ship will arrive with peaceful representatives. How they're greeted will determine humanity's future. Dr. Wright hesitated, his scientific curiosity visibly fighting with his military orders. You can study Echo's biology, its technology, its culture, all with its cooperation, Olivia continued. Or you can try to capture and control something you don't understand, and risk disaster when its people arrive. Echo stepped forward, causing the soldiers to raise their weapons. But instead of attacking, it projected a star map onto the wall, showing the approaching Krajin vessel. The choice is yours, Olivia said. First contact can be peaceful or not. Echo risked everything to make sure it's peaceful. Slowly, Dr. Wright signaled his men to lower their weapons. I want to know everything, he said, from the beginning. 2 months later, Olivia stood in a large field that had been prepared as a landing site. Beside her was Echo, its scales shining in patterns of welcome. Behind them stood Dr. Wright, now the head of the newly formed First Contact Division, along with government officials and scientists from around the Scind world. The night sky lit up as the Krajin ship descended through the atmosphere. It was beautiful, with flowing lines that seemed almost alive. As it landed gently on the field, Olivia felt Echo's excitement through the communication device she still wore. Your family? Olivia asked. Yes, Echo communicated. But you also. Family, no. The ship's door opened, and tall figures emerged, Krajin of various sizes and colors, their scales shifting in patterns of greeting. The leader, larger than Echo with scales of deep purple, approached them. Echo stepped forward first, touching claws with the leader in greeting, then turned and gently guided Olivia forward. This is the human who saved me, Echo communicated, the translation now being broadcast to all the humans present. She fed me when I was injured. She protected me when I was hunted. She helped me complete my mission. The Krajin leader studied Olivia with intelligent eyes, then extended a clawed hand in a very human gesture of greeting. Olivia took it without fear. On behalf of humanity, she said, welcome to Earth. As cameras flashed and history was made, Olivia glanced at Echo. The predator from the stars had become her friend, her family. What had begun with an act of compassion on a lonely beach had changed the future of two species forever. Echo's scales formed the pattern that Olivia now recognized as happiness. They had started as predator and prey, become pet and owner for a brief time, and ended as something much more important, the bridge between worlds.